Well, good morning. Happy New Year. That's right. Today is the first Sunday in Advent and is the beginning of the church year. But it's not a time of great new beginnings, per se, or resolutions, or recommitments, or doubling down on our efforts. No, it's a time of faithful waiting. It's a time to ask, why are things the way they are? And how are they going to be made right? It's a season in the church calendar when we can admit that things aren't right, that things are just messed up in this world, and they're not right in ourselves either, or those we love. But we find hope. We find hope in the fact that we can look for a rescue from outside of ourselves. So let's talk just for a second about expectations. We all have expectations. What did you expect 2021 to look like? What do you expect 2022 to look like? What do you expect this Christmas season to be like? What do you expect from your spouse or your kids or your parents? What do you expect from yourself? We Americans tend to be optimistic to a fault, so what we expect to happen and what actually happens are usually not the same thing. And that creates great disappointment in us. Sounds awful, but that's what Advent is like. It's a time when we wait for the unrealized expectations to be made right. You see, in Advent, we live in the tension of how things are, not what we expect, but how things are and how things are supposed to be. In other words, Advent is here to help us see just how much things need to be made right and just how much we need Jesus to show back up on the scene and to set the record straight. Perhaps you need help in one of these areas. It's hard to know how much we need Jesus if we think we have it all together and life is going so very well because of our hard work. The economy's looking good, our stock market is up, our savings account and retirement plans look well. All is well. But is it really? Just how much do we need Jesus even today? If that's you this morning, and perhaps things are well or perhaps things are not so well, I have good news for both. Jesus didn't come to make good people a little better. Jesus came to raise the dead to new life. He came to start over. He came to make things new. Our Old Testament passage this morning on the first Sunday of Advent found in Jeremiah is all about God's promises to his broken, rebellious children. The people Jeremiah is writing to knew all about failed expectations. God had rescued them from Egypt. He gave them his law. Do this and live. And oh yes, we'll keep that law and all will be well, God. And he gave them a place to live. And the expectation was that they could keep the law. And by doing so, they would live in the land of abundance and peace. But oh, how those expectations were shattered, because the human heart doesn't have what it takes to keep the law. We've talked about this all year. In fact, Ann Stewart once wrote, Jeremiah is writing to a people of Israel where Jerusalem had been completely devastated in the Babylonian invasion of 587 BC. The habitation of Israel have been scattered from their homeland, and the people are living as consequence of this captivity all over, and they're in bondage, and they're in captive by Babylon. Their way of life has been completely overturned. Their expectations of what the future would be are so uncertain at this period of time, it's not even funny. Their homes, their schools, their offices, their churches, their Safeway grocery store, their malls, their clubs, all gone. And there's a sense of security has been violated. They have no idea if they will live to see their home ever again. Their hopes and dreams are dead. Any expectation that things will be good have been laid to waste. So this passage was written in the context of great suffering and loss. It's in that setting that God gave Jeremiah these wonderful, hopeful words. He says, "Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will fulfill the promise I made to the house of Israel." Oh, what wonderful words that must have been for the people to hear that day. But there had to be some doubt, some wonder. But this leads to some important questions. Where was God in the midst of this devastation? Where is God in the midst of the devastation you're experiencing? Is God with us? Is He here for us or against us? Does He love me? And is He ever going to leave me? Whatever happened to His covenant promise? All real questions that left things in bad shape for God's people. Do you know how that feels? Do you know a thing or two about unmet expectations, devastation, suffering, and waiting for rescue? Is there an area in your life where you can relate to how they must have felt? Maybe your home has never been ransacked by barbarians who took you and your children into slavery. But maybe you know a little bit about how they feel. You've experienced a little bit of that in the world around you. So in this moment, hear what God says through His prophet to the captive people of Israel and to you. He doesn't answer the people's suffering with an action plan for what they can do to get their stuff together and gain victory over their oppression. No, He simply proclaims God's promise of salvation to His people. Now let's talk about God's promise for a second. Our faith is not based on the promises we make to God. Our faith is based on God's promises to us. And our faith is based on the fact that God is not just a promise maker, but He's a promise keeper. What are the promises, you say? Verse 15. In those days and at that time, I will cause a righteous branch to spring up for David, and he shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. Oh, friends, Jesus is the righteous branch. He came to redeem us. He will come to make all things right in this world. You see, God meets us with love and promise in the midst of the destruction of our lives. And He meets us in the unexpected ways. He meets us in Himself. We have a God who rescued us not through His own might and power and violence, but by giving up power and dying for us. What did you expect? We have a God who rescued us in His way, and He applies those promises to us even now through unexpected ways. He meets us every single week in simple, normal elements of bread and wine and waters of baptism, and His word, which is preached each week by a fool like me. He will come to make the unjust things in this world just. He will come to make all things that are wrong in the world right again. He will come to make all sad things come untrue. Verse 16, in those days Judea will be saved, and Jerusalem will dwell securely. And this is the name by which it will be called. The Lord is our righteousness. This was spoken to the people in a city that had no righteousness. They were in the ruins, and God came to them, and He told them that He is the righteousness. He is their imputation. He is their substitution. Oh, friends, don't you look forward to the day when salvation and security dwell in the land and in our own hearts? Isn't that what we all want? We want things to be right. And He has come, and He is coming again to make all things right. Confidence in God's righteousness helps us believe in the new reality that He is preparing for us. You see, ultimately, how do we know God's promises are real? Jesus is how we know. The signs of His covenant promise is the righteous branch of David. Jesus came to us and lived for us and bled for us and died for us and rose for us to forgive us and to reconcile us back to God and to each other. And He's coming again to make all things new, even me and even you. He came to raise you up, to trust in Him alone, and to love your neighbor. Here's the promise, dear saints of God. I am going to bring them recovery and healing. I will heal them and reveal to them abundance of prosperity and security. I will restore them and rebuild them as they were at first. I will cleanse them from all their guilt and of their sin against me. And I will forgive all the guilt of their sin and rebellion against me. And this city shall be to me a name of joy. Jesus goes on to say, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Jesus says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Jesus says, nothing will snatch you from my hand. What are the promises of Jesus? Here they are. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be His people, and God Himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eye, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore, for the former things have passed away. And He, Jesus, who was seated on the throne, said, behold, I am making all things new. All things new. All things forgiven, and all things new. And He said, write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true. And He said to me, it is done. The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give from the spring of water of life without payment. Friends, in the midst of destroyed expectations, God's promise is secure. The only question to answer today is, will you wait with Him in the season of Advent, in the season of waiting? Will you wait, and will you believe that all is forgiven and all things will be made new? Amen.